Yokozuna was body slammed by who? And we are 1 week out from Beach Blast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dropkicks and Attractions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. It is Dropkicks and Attractions, of course, your favorite and surely most watched episodic weekly wrestling retro history podcast in the world. I'm, of course, Xander Invictus. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I am here with my co-host, Big Bach.
Good afternoon, Xander. How are things going?
Oh, well, I don't have food poisoning. That's why we didn't have an episode last week. I had food poisoning.
I think I had that happen a few weeks ago. That was not fun.
It laid me out for the better part of a week.
Yuck.
So, of course, we got some sad news we want to go ahead and put out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
We would have talked about this last week, but we had no episode last week. The passing of WCW wrestler Ice Train, who actually is going to be debuting here in WCW in about a month or two on our end, in about mid-93.
Mm-hmm. Rest in peace.
Yes, he was let's put it this way. If I could put it towards you, somebody that you would know.
Okay.
He was very Keith Lee-like.
Gotcha. Okay. I can see that.
Which did not happen in 93. He was super charismatic. He was a big deal. Let's put it this way. He teamed with Scott Norton.
Gotcha.
But he was also very agile. He was very quick. He was also charismatic. Here's a little feud that I think you would appreciate once we get there. It's a couple years out, but you would appreciate this.
Mm-hmm.
Norton and Ice Train, they were known as Fire and Ice.
Gotcha.
Versus the Steiners.
Ooh, that does sound good.
Uh-huh, and it's good. It's exactly how you think it is.
Are they going to be doing that in WWE or WCW?
WCW.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Diamond Dallas Page was a good, close personal friend of his. Started a GoFundMe, help his family raise like funeral costs and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it up on my computer now, and we'll drop the link for it in like the YouTube description. I'll put it in the description for like on Spotify and everything. If you guys can, send a few dollars, we'll have the link there for that.
Got it.
And of course, another thing, we are, especially if you heard of some of our earlier episodes, we are massive pop culture fans.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge movie fan. We know this.
Yep.
As of yet, the recording, we're on recording this on February 3rd. Yesterday, we all got the news that Carl Weathers passed away.
Mm-hmm. I knew him for the coach from Happy Gilmore.
But he was Happy Gilmore. He was Apollo Creed in the Rocky movies.
Never seen them somehow.
Oh, fantastic. They're some of the best sports movies. He has an arc between the first four Rocky movies. The arc he has is fantastic. He starts as like the big rival, but in the first movie, by the end of the fourth, he's like one of Rocky's mentors, a close personal friend. Like the story arc between 1 and 4, like he's one of the best movie characters I think ever.
Gotcha.
Let's see. He also did Predator. He was in the first Predator, where you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, you had him, you had Bill Duke, you had Jesse Ventura.
I've seen bits of that one, but never the whole thing.
It's a fantastic movie. He was also in, and you know me, I love my 80s and 90s action movies.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pew-pews and fights and everything.
Yeah, I know you love those.
Oh, I do. And speaking of Carl Weathers, if you want a good one, Action Jackson. His last name was Jackson. His nickname was Action. It was literally, his name was Action Jackson.
Cool.
Where Craig T. Nelson from Coach and, Poltergeist was actually the bad guy.
Ooh.
Yeah, I saw it on TV as a kid. It's, like, let's put it this way. If you like my kind of action movies, Action Jackson is something you need to watch.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and everything I've been seeing from today and since, they spoke his passing, like, everybody that's worked with him has said nothing but just beautiful, glowing, like, memories of him. Like, I have not heard one bad word about him from anybody.
Yeah, glowing was the word I was going to use.
Yeah, like, obviously Sylvester Stallone put out there. He was also, for those recently, he was in The Mandalorian. He was there, so you got a lot of, like, the people that worked with him on that show. He was actually also very active on Twitter up until I followed him on Twitter because obviously I'm a big fan, or still am regardless. Up until I think I remember seeing him tweet upwards of a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very active on Twitter. Like, the fans loved him. Like, everybody he worked with said nothing but just beautiful, like, memories of him. Like, there's one of those that nobody had a bad word to say about him.
Right.
So obviously that was, Predator, like I said, Predator, Rocky, Happy Gilmore, Action Jackson. I didn't see a lot of The Mandalorian, but obviously he was awesome in it from what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a guy I grew up watching as a kid, so obviously we send our sympathies out to his family as well.
Rest in peace.
So, okay, we're going to go ahead and go into Monday Night Raw. Both these shows actually went by at a very quick pace. Actually, I think they flowed fast, but also very well at the same time.
Agreed. They were quick, but not too quick.
No, this is July 5th, 93. We're back in the Manhattan Center, and I could tell just by the way they were talking, this was one of the live episodes. This wasn't one of the recorded ones.
Mm-hmm.
This was a live one. And the day before, they had, and this actually, the footage of this took up the first quarter of the show.
So yeah, this was a long segment.
And we'll get to it why it didn't register until a couple weeks ago what this really was. For those that are following along, we had the Stars and Stripes Challenge, which was on the USS Intrepid July 4th, which would have been that Sunday.
The previous day.
Yes, the previous day. This was July 5th. Pro athletes of different sports and wrestlers, WWF wrestlers, we're going to body slam Yokozuna on the Intrepid. This was supposed to be like, oh, America, this is Yokozuna celebrating on the 4th of July about him being the champion and everything. This would have been a cool thing to see live. There's no footage as far as I know, other than, there was never anything recorded. And this is always weird, is like, if this seemed like this wasn't a very long event.
Right.
I was wondering, and I was wondering while I was watching through this yesterday, did they have, because they had wrestlers. We'll go through some of the wrestlers that participated, at least in the body slam challenge. If they had other matches, because this seemed like this would have been, even as a wrestling event, I've been slightly disappointed. So you go to this big thing, a huge event, it looked like a decent turnout, and it looked like it maybe half hour, 45 minutes.
Right, but when you make something like this, like a house show, or did they not do those back in that day?
Oh, they had house shows. They've always had house shows, but I'm thinking not necessarily like a full-on house show, but it's like, hey, we're going to have a couple matches, hype up the crowd before we do this, and this would have been, quote-unquote, the main event. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because it would have seemed like a lot of work to do, and we'll get to why here in a bit. This seemed like a lot of work to do just to have, like, a few people body slam Yokozuna. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So we go through, and you can tell that, and I get why the professional athletes, like we had baseball players and football and hockey and basketball, they were there, but you could tell that they kind of just, and I'm sure Yoko, like at this point, he was about 500 pounds.
Yeah, they built him at 568 during the segment.
And I'm sure it wasn't honestly that far off, honestly.
Right.
But because they kind of did a little, like the fake lift. Even, I'm sure like Yoko also went dead weight, and anybody that's tried to lift anybody who went dead weight, it's about the effort when you lift somebody that is dead weight or they go limp like that, is about twice the weight.
Yeah, that's the thing I've actually talked about with my friend Aaron, who wrestles in our area. Yeah,
but I mean, I also learned this when I was in medical school in the Army, is like, especially if you got to lift somebody off the ground, or like if they're laying on the ground. Yeah, dead weight, if you're lifting somebody dead weight or someone who's going dead weight on you, it's about twice their weight.
Right.
But you also saw there was one basketball player from the Hornets. He got in the ring, did this whole thing, looked at Yokozuna, he's like, nah, I'm out. I'm like, you at least tried? Like, fake tried? Like, this just seemed like you didn't even want to be there.
I gotcha.
It just seemed weird to me. So it was also a very interesting take on the national anthem. I don't know who sang it, but it was interesting. We'll put it that way. And also, somebody's going to get a brand new truck that's all decked out in the red, white, and blue. And I also noticed we're in New York City for this, right?
Right.
If you saw the side of the truck, it was the Greater Detroit Chevrolet Geo dealers sponsoring the truck. So it wasn't New York on the truck; it was Detroit. It was like in the front quarter panel by the engine. I was like, they trucked this truck all the way to Detroit. All right.
I looked it up just now. It's around Pier 86 on the west side of Manhattan, where it was meant to be.
Yeah. So, yeah, not even close to Detroit. But the greater Chevrolet the Chevrolet Geo, because Geos were still a thing. This is 93. Sponsored the truck. So we got the truck all the way from Detroit. Right. So wrestler-wise, we got, first off, Bob Backlund for some reason. I get he was always the all-American boy, the squeaky clean, white meat, baby face. Champion long. He was the champion the year I was born. And we know he's been having this resurgence here in the like around 92. He came back like a resurgence. But I'm just like, out of everybody, you expect like the big strong guys to do it, right? Bob Backlund?
Doesn't seem like the best fit, but God bless him, he tried.
Yeah, he tried. We had both Steiners, who, if anybody could lift Yoko, it's one of those guys. They couldn't. Tatanka tried. He did a bunch of like his tomahawk chops and tried. We had Crush, who got very close.
Yeah, Crush was the closest one until we got the person who actually pulled it off.
Yeah, like he actually both of Yokozuna's feet left the ground. And we'll see there's actually going to be some payoff with this later on in the episode. But yeah, he actually got Yokozuna's feet off the ground. Like, Crush legit was a strong dude. And then Randy Savage even tried it, because Randy Savage and Todd Pettengill were basically the MCs of the event. And Randy even tried it. I'm just like, which was kind of cool throwback, because Randy was the one that was the last one thrown out in the 93 Royal Rumble that Yoko won. So I kind of like, there's a little bit of that going on, which was cool. And they're like, oh, nobody tried. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. And this is the part where it didn't hit me till a couple weeks ago that this was a publicity stunt and a gimmick change for the person on the helicopter. It didn't even register till 2024 until it hit me.
So what, that's a 31-year gap?
31 years that it just did, because I wasn't watching at the time, because I was doing the moves of my sister. I was putting her like in the sharpshooter. You can't watch wrestling for years. So, but I knew the story, like I know the gimmick and everything. Out of all the people, by the way, we haven't seen this person since King of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
On the helicopter, fucking Lex Luger.
Yeah, kind of random.
Yeah, like you went from the narcissist at King of the Ring, who we haven't seen since King of the Ring. Now he's all American. And they're gonna milk this, by the way. They will milk this until he leaves WWF.
And how long does that take?
95.
Oh boy.
Wait till you get to the Lex Express.
So we got a lot of time for this to wear out on me.
Oh, yeah. This is the thing is, like, Bret Hart was still going for the title because Hogan was gone. Hogan had dropped the title. He was out. We're not going to see Hogan on WWF until 2002.
Right. I think you said that's going to be his first time he ever appears on the weekly programming.
He did one episode of Raw in 93 where he's like, oh, we're going to team up with Brutus Beefcake and we're going to be the Mega Maniacs and, tag titles.
Right, that.
But not counting that was basically his only live on Raw appearance until 2002 when they bring back the NWO, which also I don't think worked out the way it should have. So you're talking, this is WrestleMania 9. You're talking 2002. You're talking WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, 9 years. Wow.
Yeah. And we'll see him in 94, like WCW, where, let's put it this way. We're only 3 years away from the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you think of what's going on in wrestling now, we're 3 years out from the NWO. We're also 3 years out from Austin 316, which we'll see Austin later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
We got Hollywood Blondes in 93, 96, we have Austin 316.
Gotcha.
That does not seem like a lot of time.
You wouldn't think so.
No, I was like, oh shit, that's not that far away. But anyways, Luger comes in, they're like, even Todd's like, sorry Lex, I know you brought the whole helicopter. Too late, sorry, yeah, we did all this trouble. Rips off his shirt, forearms, he's got the metal plate in his forearm, which once again, for those that don't remember, he legit was in a motorcycle accident, so he legit had a metal plate in his forearm. Like, that was real.
Mm-hmm. They always built it like he could use it as a weapon.
Yeah, like they did that when he was the narcissist. See, here's the thing. When he was the narcissist, we can't have this is a thing. But once he's fighting for America...
Right, once he does the face turn.
Yeah, which is right here. But it's like, we can't do this. But once it's for America, I was like, oh yeah, beat his ass. And everybody was almost like, yeah, we love Lex Luger now. Like Randy Savage talked about it. He's like, we love Lex Luger now because he's a good guy in America. So all of a sudden, all the bad shit he did, we're cool. And then Crush at one point, who wrestled the narcissist on Raw in June, was like, oh yeah, I love Lex Luger now, brother. He was like, you're doing a good thing. And I'm like, bro, you wrestled him like a month ago. I get he's supposed to be the rah-rah, white meat, all-American. Like, he's supposed to be, they're trying to do this for him to be the next Hulk Hogan. All-American, muscular, powerful, because he legit was a powerful dude. Mm-hmm. And we saw that because he slammed Yokozuna. This is the clip that everybody sees where Lex Luger slams Yokozuna. So he was legitimately a strong man. Like, at one point he gets, his finisher, especially in WCW, is the torture rack. He was able to get the Giant up in the torture rack.
Oh, wow.
So, like, legitimately, he's a very strong man.
Mm-hmm.
At least at this point.
Gotcha.
But it's like, so Hogan's gone, so instead of, like, Bret Hart or, God, who else would have been? There wasn't really many top baby faces, because you had Bret Hart, And honestly, nobody that you would consider a main eventer to where it's like, oh, this guy could challenge somebody for the world title.
Gotcha.
There was no, now that I'm thinking about it, there was nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Because Shawn Michaels is the Intercontinental Champion.
He's a heel.
At this point, yeah. There's maybe The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
The Undertaker was always been on the top, so maybe, The Undertaker was face at this point. So you had Bret Hart and you had The Undertaker.
Not a big list.
No. And that's the problem with, we saw this, up until just recently, you always saw that there was never too many top baby faces to be like, oh, we can put him in the title picture and people will be, yeah, okay with this. Instead of building a bunch of people up, you had Hart and The Undertaker, and like,
yeah,
that's it. Everybody else was either a top heel or, Crush. Like, nothing against Crush at this point, but he was mid-card at best.
Gotcha.
So, but basically, it just didn't register to me that this whole thing was not for Yokozuna. This entire thing, the whole ship, the ring on the ship, bringing in all the athletes, bringing in all the wrestlers, trying to make all of this entire, this was at least a few weeks of promos on television.
Mm-hmm.
Everything after King of the Ring, literally, was to do a gimmick change for Lex Luger. All of this was for Lex Luger. That's insane.
Yeah, Mr. Fuji started talking about this the day after King of the Ring.
Yes, so you're talking literally my birthday. So almost a month. This was all for a gimmick change for Lex Luger. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil it now. This did not work.
That's unfortunate. But it'll be interesting to see where they go with this.
Yeah, But I'm just saying, once you realize how, I don't want to say it bombed, but it severely underperformed.
Gotcha.
The whole All-American Lex Luger. With all this build up and, you get the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, can I be honest with you? It fizzles out. It fizzles out after SummerSlam.
That quickly?
Of 93.
That quickly?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Let's put it this way. He gets 2 world title shots from now until he leaves WWF. Lex Luger gets 2 world title shots on television.
That's it?
2. Remember, this is the guy that they're trying to build up as the next Hulk Hogan in WWF. He gets 2, and one of them's a month away.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, this whole thing was a gimmick change for Lex Luger, this whole rigmarole. So you can imagine at least they had the WWF engine behind him because they went to all of this for a gimmick change for a guy we hadn't seen in like a month. And trust me, once again, I like Lex Luger. This is nothing against him. He was just basically doing his job. Wait till you see how hokey this gets.
Hoky's not necessarily bad. Is it going to be so bad it's good, or is it just going to suck?
It's gonna suck.
Oh, boy.
Once again, we're big Wrestling with Regret fans. He did a great long form video on this, but it's wait till you see Lex Luger driving around on a red, white, and blue bus, literally going to arenas to visit people. And then the song on the videos, it's like, I'm a hero for America, driving across the heartland. It's about like that.
I think I need to go to the ER now. I think I just broke my spine cringing too hard.
Yeah, this is one, if they could have, I could have literally seen them go, that song, God bless this USA. Honestly.
I know the song, I can't remember what it's called.
It's called God Bless the USA.
Oh, that is literally what it's called? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm half expecting Toby Keith going, we'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. This is that level.
Oh, God.
Which is funny. Toby Keith, we will actually talk about Toby Keith because he's on the first episode of TNA pay-per-views, the weekly pay-per-views.
Oh, really?
And he wrestles.
Oh, God.
Yeah. This is I could have seen put a boot in your ass, Lee Greenwood going, God bless the, this was, yeah. Oh, yeah, he wears Star Spangled Trunks the rest of his run in WWF.
Oh, Jesus.
This is America.
This is going to be so bad.
Yeah. Once again, he did I'm sorry, he did the best he could, but, yeah.
He wasn't given good material to work with.
No, but I could tell he did the best he could. This is, And he wasn't even supposed to wrestle for WWF originally.
Really?
Yeah, he left WCW in 92. We had talked about this very early on, especially when they debuted the Narcissist, at Royal Rumble. So think about this. He debuted at Royal Rumble, wrestled Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania in March or so.
Right.
Was at the King of the Ring in June, and now he's the All-American Lex Luger in July.
This has been very fast.
The Narcissist was only from January to, might as well say June.
About half a year. That's not a lot of time.
If that. No. And it was actually less than that because it was the end of January because it was the Royal Rumble he debuted.
Well, that was absolutely a rat's nest of tangents.
Well, yeah, but it's hard to, because it's this is, especially to try to explain this to you who has no prior knowledge of this. You're like, oh god, there was a lot of moving pieces to repackage Lex Luger.
Gotcha.
And like I said, he wasn't originally even supposed to. We're 20 minutes in and we're still talking about the first quarter of Nitro.
Right.
Excuse me, not Nitro Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Because the original idea was Vince McMahon had started something, and this is where Ico Pro started. Because you see all the Ico Pro ads.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a supplement system,
right?
Because Vince McMahon has always been big into working out and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to start his own bodybuilding federation. It was called the World Bodybuilding Federation, the WBF.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like the Mr. Olympia kind of style, Arnold Classics kind of things, they don't have gimmicks. They come out there in the little trunks and they flex, right?
Right.
There was pay-per-views and the clips. You can easily find this stuff on YouTube. Just look up, like, WBF. Of, like, guys doing, like, the friggin', like, the bodybuilding poses and stuff, but they're all in, like, gimmicks. Like, costumes and shit.
What?
Yeah. Like, look up WBF. Like, it's basically bodybuilding with, like, wrestler gimmicks.
Oh, God.
And Lex Luger, he was going to be like a commentator or do something like that. Because he was called the Total Package for a reason. Lex Luger was jacked.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, he was supposed to be part of the WBF team.
Gotcha.
And by the time he got there, it had already bombed.
Yuck.
So, hey, because I don't even think he was on a WWF contract at that point. I think it was just for WBF.
Mm-hmm.
And it pissed off a lot of guys because, at the time, a lot of the wrestlers were like, hey, we're going to give you so much money for every date. There was not a lot of contracts, right?
Right.
The bodybuilders had guaranteed contracts.
Ooh.
So a lot of the wrestlers was not happy about this.
Is that kind of what drove some of the exodus to WCW, like starting off the Monday Night Wars?
Oh, no, it was about money, but it was other things. It had nothing to do with the WBF.
Okay.
But just think about this. You're a wrestler who's making so much for so many dates, right? Practically a handshake agreement.
Gotcha.
And then you have this offshoot about bodybuilders dressed in weird costumes and they're getting guaranteed contracts just to flex their biceps. I would be pissed.
Okay, now you've explained it like that. I agree. I would have been pissed too.
So yeah, we're 25 minutes into our show. This was actually the first quarter of Raw.
Yeah, that took quite a while.
Well, it was there was a lot. Like I said, there was a lot of moving parts in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually get to our first actual match of the night. This was about, 10, 12 minutes into the show?
About that, yeah.
Blake Beverly versus the 1-2-3 Kid. And if you noticed, 1-2-3 Kid didn't have any eyebrows.
I did not notice that.
He didn't. There's a story about this. This is a short story. Trust me, we're not going off on another 25 minutes. I don't remember if somebody did it to him or they had ribbed him to convince him to shave his eyebrows off. And because they were doing photo shoots for, like, you remember I don't remember if you remember these, the Hasbro WWF figures that had, like, the little one move. Like, they had they showed the commercials on Raw where it's like, the guy, Macho Man could do, like, a drop kick or, they had the guy with the clotheslines, like the little figures, right?
I don't remember them from the time, but I have seen them as we've been doing the show.
Yeah, exactly those. And I actually had one. I had the Jim Neidhart one. He did like a clothesline.
Gotcha.
Like he was on a pivot. You would turn the top half of his torso, and he would come back with a clothesline or a punch or whatever. If you look, and they were doing a photo shoot because the 1-2-3 Kid had one, and they would have like a actual picture of the wrestler on the card,
right? And
then they would put the figure on the card. If you look at the 1-2-3 Kid's card for his figure, no eyebrows. There's a story, I think they either convinced him or they had done something to make sure he had no eyebrows for this photo shoot.
Oh, gosh.
For these figures. So he's coming out to the ring here. No eyebrows at all.
Oh, gosh.
That's ribbing for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I did notice, we're going back and forth on this. Very nice pop, I called it a dope pop-up dropkick. Blake had thrown him up in the air and he came out with a dope dropkick.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a neat spot.
Yeah. And, Blake finally counters with a power slam and actually a nice vertical suplex where he just drops him into the turnbuckle.
Yeah, that was not funny. He bounced off, hit the apron, out of the ring.
Yeah, it was a cool spot.
Yeah, very cool.
And then, Blake was in Blake was in control for a good part of the second half of the match. He dodges a dive Blake dives to the outside. Kid dodges it and then gets on the top rope and does like a front flip senton to him.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah. We get back in. Once again, Blake's doing a little bit of, his stuff. He goes for a splash, and the kid kid dodges. He gets up to the top rope and lands a leg drop to the back of the head for the win.
8 minutes, 2 seconds. This was a really good match, I thought.
Yeah, I liked it. This was great. It was a nice way to, this is the first time we've really showcased 1, 2, 3 Kid. Outside of the couple matches he had, Razor Ramon, so this is like the biggest look we've had with him, and I think he held his own against Blake Beverly.
I agree. He put on a good show.
Yeah. And then we get a debut vignette for the upcoming Men on a Mission.
So yeah, there's a whole rap music video for this.
It's 93 rap music.
Yeah.
I'm here, and we're Men on a Mission, and I'm here to say we're going to kick everybody's butt and have a great day. Like, it was like that, when everybody makes fun of rap.
Yeah.
Like, they were one step away from somebody going, wiki, 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 wiki. And they said, here's a funny fact, and they say they're actually going to, become champs. They become tag champs by accident.
Oh, really?
By accident. Like, at one point, this is when the Quebecers, which they'll debut here shortly.
Mm-hmm.
The Quebecers were tag champs, and I think they were in Germany. And Mabel, that was the big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very large man. They're having a match I think it was in Germany. And he sat on, I think it was Pierre, which is actually our friend, the French-Canadian Frankenstein, PCO.
Mm-hmm.
Sits on him, and he can't kick out.
Oh, jeez.
So the ref has to count to 3. That's the thing. They were always taught you count to 3 regardless.
Right.
He sits on Pierre, who can't kick out for whatever reason. So Men on a Mission accidentally become tag team champions.
That's amazing.
And I mean, they drop him 2 days later because obviously they weren't supposed to win the first time.
Right.
But they accidentally they win the tag title, and it's a recognized title reign too. Like, you can look it up; it's recognized as a title reign.
I was going to ask. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's recognized. There's a lot of those title reigns that don't exist for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's recognized. It's in the freaking title history.
Cool.
So, and then we also get a backstage promo with Luna and a guy I'm a fan of, Bam Bam Bigelow,
mm-hmm.
who has a match coming out with his main squeeze Luna against one of my favorite enhancement guys, Jumpin' Joey Mags.
Oh yeah, this was brutal.
Yeah, a couple corner splashes. Bam Bam wins.
42 seconds.
Yeah, which sucks because once we talked about him when he was at WCW, I love me some Joey Mags.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly thought this wasn't a bad thing. This was just for Bam Bam. We're bringing we're pumping him up. I just wish they would have given more for Joey Mags. Once again, I'm a fan. I was a fan of his.
Mm-hmm.
So we come back and we got our penultimate match of Raw. Samu of the Head Shrinkers versus The Undertaker. And I also noticed this was interesting. Not only is Undertaker not coming out with the urn because, Mr. Hughes has stolen it.
Right.
He's not coming out with Paul Bearer.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, because Paul Bearer got the shit beat out of him, didn't he?
Couple times. So this is, and I like they played off of this.
Yeah, they're running the story properly.
Where it's like Undertaker's not as, undefeatable or unbeatable as he can because he doesn't have, he's like half a step behind because he doesn't have the urn with all these powers. He doesn't have Paul Bearer, so it's almost like he's a half step behind.
Right.
Because he doesn't have, it's almost like Samson getting his haircut.
Gotcha.
And it's like, again, it's the little things. If you're catching up on the story, it works.
Right.
And I did notice the one big thing where he did miss that leapfrog over Samu, and I think that was he just didn't get enough air.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to recover pretty quick. Yeah, Undertaker hits, I like to call it school. It's not old school yet. The rope walk with the arm twist.
Mm-hmm.
They call it old school, anytime from about 2000 on. So it's like, it's not old school yet, it's just school.
Yeah.
But it's a nice small spots where Taker's he's off. And the thing is, Taker was never off like this. So it's like, it's small storytelling parts that I really appreciate.
Right.
Yeah, they go to commercial and he's being battered around the ring by Samu, who's out there with Afa. And Samu actually had a really nice power slam too.
Oh yeah, that was good.
And this was all Samu for the latter half of the match, where he actually hit a top rope headbutt, went for a second and missed it.
Yeah, Taker does his sit-up as he does.
Yeah, which was, it's clap. Once again, I'm going to quote Michael Cole here, vintage Undertaker.
Ah.
Chokeslam tombstone for the win for Taker.
Yeah, 7 minutes and 32 seconds. And if we can backtrack for a sec.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
They go face-to-face as the match starts. Samu is huge and Taker is even bigger. Like, the context there just blew my mind.
Yeah, it was great. But it showed that he was up there strength-wise with Undertaker to be able to do some of the shit he did.
Yeah, also before that commercial, Randy was talking pretty much the whole time about how Taker was completely departing from his usual style.
Yeah, and once again, we're telling stories, folks.
Right.
Because he's departing from his usual style. He doesn't have his urn. He doesn't have Paul Bearer.
Right.
So he's trying to do something that he has, Like, I like that, the announcers were able to recognize it. They put it over. The way Taker wrestled put it over. Like, it's a cool story where you can tell a story without saying words.
Right.
And it worked for me.
It's working for me, too.
Yeah. So we come back. Vince is ringside out with Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji. Vince said the title celebration was spoiled by Lex Luger. And Fuji, I love Fuji, where he's coming up with excuses why this didn't happen. He goes, "Oh no, it was a hip toss, not a body slam, so it doesn't count." I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I loved that bit.
WrestleMania was like, "Oh, Hogan wasn't a recognized competitor, so even though I said he could wrestle, it didn't count." And now it's Mr. Fuji was like, "Oh, it was a hip toss, not a body slam, and it was a body slam challenge, so it doesn't count." And so Luger gets no title shot because it was a hip toss, not a body slam. I was like, I like it. He was a little weaselly trying to get his way out of giving the title shot. It was cool.
Yeah.
And then this is the part where Crush comes out kissing Luger's ass, even though they wrestled like a month ago, and Luger's been a good guy all of like a day.
Mm-hmm.
Crush said there's an open challenge for the title. Crush was like, "Look, I came that close. I won a title shot." And they're like, Yoko's like, "Yeah, okay." So we're getting a world title match on Raw next week, folks.
So yeah, Fuji's backpedaling so hard he's going back in time at this point.
Yeah, he's going back to his old gimmick where he was just like Oddjob from James Bond.
That was a thing?
No, he came out like when he was like the first Mr. Fuji I remember when it was like Demolition or Powers of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
He came out with like the bowler hat and the tuxedo. He looked like it was basically Oddjob.
Okay.
That was the thing. It was he came out with the cane and everything. It was cool.
Love it.
But yeah, we're getting a world title match next week. Crush versus Yoko for the title.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So we go to our last match of the night. Mr. Perfect, which once again, one of my all-time favorites, versus Brian Costello. And Mr. Perfect comes out and you have one of the more corpulent ladies doing the ring card. The ring, He takes the gum out of his mouth, stretches it out, just wraps it around her glasses. You could tell she was not happy about that. She's like, "Yeah, thanks, Dick."
Yikes.
But I was like, it's Mr. Perfect. He was always a douchebag. Even when he was a good guy, he was a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
And that was funny. He just wraps it around her glasses, and she's like, "Yeah, thanks, Dick." He had a really nice running drop kick right on the button. Perfect plex for the win.
That was just 1 minute flat.
Yep. It was there. Like, I wasn't mad at it. It was just there.
Yeah, it filled the time it needed to fill.
Yeah, because, we come back. They're like, "Yeah, we got the world title match next week." They show a slow-mo replay of Luger slamming Yoko, and the show's over.
So yeah, on the whole, watching the matches this week, there wasn't much chanting. I don't know why I picked up on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you have a 42-second match, you have a 1-minute match, and a lot of the matches on Saturday night here a little bit aren't much longer. If I have a 42-second match, I'm not doing, hammer locks and friggin' arm ringers and no, I'm coming in there, I'm hitting my big move, and I'm going home. But no, even though there was a lot of quickness and the Stars and Stripes challenge took up the first quarter of the show, I thought it was solid.
Yes.
This was a very no notes episode.
Yeah, I would rate this as a B.
Yeah, I'd take a B minus, but this was a very no notes episode.
Yeah, definitely.
It was solid. It got the job done. Oh, by the way, they announced that SummerSlam is going to be on a Monday.
I missed that.
Yeah, SummerSlam is going to be on a Monday at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Auburn Hills, Michigan. That's where the Pistons used to play.
Mm-hmm.
Suburban Detroit. So yeah, once again, no notes. I agree with you. It was a solid a B minus.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bad. When it was good, but there was nothing even bad, even with the short matches.
Yeah, not just no notes, but not noteworthy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there was nothing noteworthy. Everything that was noteworthy was like I said, was the first quarter of the show, and then the fact that we're getting a world title match next week.
And maybe the continuation of the Undertaker story.
Yeah, we'll see where that heads. Once again, he will have a match at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to WCW Saturday Night for July 10th, 1993. We're opening right away. Sting in the British Bowl. By the way, before we get to this, once again, not Tom Green. Thank you, my dude. Because once again,
yeah, not that Tom Green.
Without him, we wouldn't have had the show.
Yeah, this is the third episode. I think this is a 4 or 5 stretch where it's not on Peacock.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're building towards a pay-per-view or anything.
I know, right?
Yeah, wink. But the first match, speaking of the pay-per-view, first match, Sting and the British Bulldog versus Rip Rogers and Gary Nations. Once again, thank you for the lower third because none of the enhancement talent got a name.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the lower third, it would have been like,
Mm-hmm. Oh! Lower third, like what they print on the screen, you mean?
That's the lower third.
I never think. I just realized that.
Because it's the lower third of the screen.
Right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep.
There you go. But yeah, you realize Sting was a power lifter, like right when he started wrestling before wrestling. He was crazy agile.
Mm-hmm.
Like he came up in the business. We talk about like powerlifting. He came up in the business with the Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Sting was very strong, but then you realize he was also quite agile up to the point. He's still wrestling. He's getting ready to have his retirement match at the next AEW pay-per-view. So as of this recording, he's still wrestling 30 some odd years later.
Wow.
He's getting ready to have his last match in North Carolina, WCW country. It makes perfect sense. But
yeah,
the next pay-per-view for AEW is supposed to be Sting's last match.
Gotcha.
He's in his 60s, my dude.
I know.
That's what I'm just saying. He's in his 60s.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He wasn't, on the times that he does wrestle, he doesn't phone it in either. He's like, yeah, I'm going to jump off balconies and get thrown through tables and shit.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. But yeah, this was, all Sting and Bulldog. They hit the... Speaking of Paul Roma, when he was in WWF with Power and Glory, where it was him and Hercules, they had a finishing move called the Powerplex. It was a superplex. Hercules would hit a superplex and Paul Roma would hit a splash.
Oh, yeah. That's what happened here.
Yeah. This is the Powerplex. Bulldog with a superplex and Sting with the splash for the win.
2 minutes and 7 seconds. Great way to start the show.
Yeah, once again, we're putting over the good guys for their main event, because that is going to be the main event for Beach Blast, which is next week.
Yeah, there will be one more episode before that.
Yeah, but I mean, as in, for us, it's going to be one more episode. But then, once we get to Beach Blast in 2 weeks,
yeah,
gets its own episode. But we'll mention that again next week.
Right, Beach Blast is the day after the next Saturday night.
Yeah, so we're 1 week out from this timeline, but 2 weeks out for us.
Right.
Tony and Jesse go over the card for the night. Thank God the WCW Amateur Challenge is going to be just promos only.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also going to cringe because you give most wrestling fans a camera, and
they'll try. God bless them, they'll try.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. Once again, I always said the worst part about being a wrestling fan,
the fans,
are the wrestling fans. But there is going to be something cool, and I'm gonna save it. I didn't realize this till a couple weeks ago. There's something that you're going to appreciate when they do this.
Ooh.
Because there's somebody whose video makes it on television. Extremely famous wrestler.
Ooh.
This was before they were a wrestler. Very famous. I think you might be able to pick him out.
Be interesting to see if I do.
I sure as hell hope so, because this is a very large name in wrestling.
Okay.
But yeah, thank God this is just promos only. So imagine I can imagine a bunch of goofy costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Looking like freaking Captain Encino from The Waterboy, or the revolting blob from fucking, what the name was that? Was that shit? Billy Madison, Adam Sandler.
Haven't seen Billy Madison.
There was a principal where he moonlighted as a pro wrestler, and he was called the Revolting Blob. But yeah, out come the Hollywood Blondes. Great pummel from Pillman, where he's basically going to tell Roma, yeah, we're going to put you in a short film called Lights, Camera, Traction.
Yeah, he interfered at the last Clash of the Champions. They're calling him out for it.
Basically, because our main event tonight is going to be Austin versus Roma, which on paper could be good.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd were booing. I don't know how much of this was crowd sweetening, but when Austin was talking, boy, were they getting booed.
Oh yeah,
this was loud.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, then we cut to Eric Bischoff, who's doing the Beach Blast Control Center. Once again, we already know the entire card. If you guys want to know, just listen to last week's episode. It's the exact same matches. The only real change is we get this really good promo from Barry Windham about his match with Ric Flair for the NWA title next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good promo.
Very good.
So, and then, once again, Lost in Cleveland. Again.
Yeah, these segments are still cringe, but they're getting better. It's not to the point of good yet, though.
No, none of them are, but this is less horrible. And now they're like, oh, hi, we're week 3 in this dark alley, and I'm now by myself. This lady's like, I'm now by myself. Oh, by the way, I brought his wife and child to this dark alley in metropolitan Cleveland. By the way, even though it's, the name of his wife and his son, those were just actors.
Oh, gosh.
But that was the name of his wife and son. Real names, fake people.
I see.
Yeah, Colette's the name of his actual wife, who they're still married to this day, actually.
Really? Did not know that.
Yeah. By the way, if you guys get a chance to, I've been able to do that with a good friend of ours. I have gone to Mick Foley's like spoken word, his one man show. He'll do the thing where he goes on tour and he'll do like a tour and he talks about his career and question and answers and stuff. Highly recommended. That man can tell a story. Plus, it's noted that you can hear him do his Terry Funk impression when he talks about King of the Ring '98.
Mm-hmm.
That moment where he gets thrown off, where he does a great story about that match he had to Undertaker. That's the one where he got thrown off the top of the Hell in the Cell through the announce table.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the match.
That was the beginning? Seriously?
Yeah, and then finished, and then also took a chokeslam off the top through the cell.
Oh, God. Those were the same match?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
By the way, Taker also wrestled with a broken foot that day, too.
Oh, jeez.
The story about it is just fantastic.
Yeah, and you got me a Mr. Sacco as a souvenir from that because I couldn't make it. I still have that.
Yeah, but no, like, it's... Once again, if you guys get, like, I don't know, when he does it again. Whenever he does it every so often, when he does, go. It's a fun time.
Gotcha.
But just to hear him do his Terry Funk impression. Oh, and he also says, he's like, I try to keep it relatively PG-13, but I will say the F word one time during the whole thing. And you know what? He says fuck one time, but when he does it, though,
it's perfect.
Perfect. I'm just like, yeah, you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but no, so we're going to bring a TV reporter, a young wife, and a very small child in the middle of this dark alley, and we're just keep going down the dark alley. We're going deeper and deeper in, What's the worst that can happen?
Y'all get murdered.
By the way, yeah. Like, oh, we're going to bring your wife to jog your memory. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yep, dumb work, and they abrupt end of segment.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think I know it's going to end here soon, so we're getting towards the latter half of it, but, like, it can't end soon enough.
Definitely.
Thank God for the palate cleanser after this.
Oh, yeah.
One of my all-time favorites in my Mount Rushmore. Lord Steven Regal versus Johnny Gunn. And this is funny. We're talking about how, dignified and sophisticated Lord Regal is.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse talks about this. There's this line where Jesse's talking to Tony about how he knows for a fact that Regal takes 2 showers a day. And Tony's like, why do you know this? Why do you know about Regal's showering habits? He's like, that's what I do.
And he is set to go. And, not all royalty is like his.
He also bathes twice a day.
Twice a day?
Twice.
How do you find these things out?
That's why I'm the top color man in wrestling.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm glad Regal keeps clean, but it's just...
Why do you know that?
Yeah, like, okay. But no, and you want to talk about no chain wrestling, there was a lot here.
Gonna say, yeah, this was a briefer match, but there was a lot of chaining fit in here.
Yes, and I loved it.
See, like you've said Regal's one of your favorites, this is why.
He's in my Mount Rushmore for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't, he's probably number 2 or 3. But yeah, we go through back and forth. This was a quick thing, but he hits the Regal roll for the win.
Yeah, solid 3 minutes, 41 seconds.
Extremely dense.
Oh yeah, dense.
Yeah, you got your word.
After that, he cuts a standard snooty foreigner heel promo.
Yeah, against, also talks about how the British Bulldog's still a peasant and commoner. I liked it. This was Regal. This is what he does. This is no notes.
No notes at all.
I come back to the commercial and our boy T Long himself, Teddy Long, is there. He said he's looking for someone to manage. So we're gonna, holla holla, holla holla holla. We're gonna be seeing. Hopefully, we'll be seeing T Long out there on the screen managing somebody. And then they go to a clip of Flair for the Gold. We don't have a full Flair for the Gold episode. This might have been like on a worldwide or a pro or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we still get a little bit of Flair for the Gold. But it's with him and Paul Orndorff talking about his match with Ron Simmons at Beach Blast for the title, where the stupid rule's not in effect. This is good. I would have appreciated. I would have liked to have seen the whole thing.
Not one Flair for the Gold has been bad so far. Not even
even this clip, I was like, oh, okay, this one was cool.
Yeah.
And then we go to Max Payne versus Scott McKeever. Hammerlock slam, throw him in the turnbuckle, painkiller win.
28 seconds.
Wow, was it really only 28 seconds?
Yep, 24-16 to 24-44.
Okay. And then, speaking of flamboyancy, out from the who's in the crowd with the basically looked like they headbutted a feather boa.
Commentary said it's Johnny B. Bad.
It is Johnny B. Bad. You know, he's come back. You know, he's wearing the mask after he got the bad blaster of the face. He looks like he headbutted a friggin' Las Vegas showgirl. He's very Johnny B. Bad. That's the most flamboyant I've seen him yet, and that's saying something.
Oh, gosh.
So, I was like, oh, like, once again, he basically said that he's going to be Max Payne's worst nightmare.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're going to have that at Beach Blast, and then we come back for commercial with Tony and...
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes, baby. The American Dream himself. And he's talking about how, you know, he wishes Dustin the best of luck in his Iron Man challenge against Rick Rude for the title. You know, whatever. But then he starts talking about the assassin. And my God, this is 93 Dusty Rhodes. This is 93 Assassin. The way, and this was what, maybe a minute and a half?
Yeah, not a long segment.
But yet, by the time Dusty's talking about this promo, I'm ready to see them fight in 1993. I'm not talking about 78. I'm not talking about 82. I'm ready to see the Assassin and Dusty Rhodes fight 93.
Yeah. Cool.
Even Dusty says, I'm well past my prime. But I was like, you know what? I want to see this in 93. He's got me ready to go back in time and buy tickets to watch these guys fight.
Gold.
I'm just like, And that's what I like about this. They've not been in the ring one bit this whole time. It's been all promos, and I'm ready to watch them fight.
Yeah. Amazing work on both ends.
Yes! The Assassin was very calm. He's like, hey, Mom says hello, and I'm just like, oh, shit. Oh, God. He's like, tell your wife I said hi. And I'm like, oh, God. Yo, Dusty has not been afraid to pull his belt off.
No, he has not.
Like he said, he's funky like a monkey. Funky like a monkey. And I'm just like, by the way, Dusty is going to get in the ring, not for the assassin, but we will see Dusty wrestle eventually.
Ooh.
It's about a year or so out. But the fact that in 93, I'm ready to watch the Assassin versus Dusty Rhodes in 93. Well past both their primes.
Right.
But I'm like, that's how good these promos have been from both of them, honestly. I'm ready to watch them fight now. Like, it's like that scene from the when they rebooted Godzilla. And they're like, it's Godzilla and the other monsters, and you had one of the guys go, let them fight.
This alpha predator of yours, Doctor, do you really think he has a chance?
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control, and not the other way around. Let them fight.
Yeah, like, I'm ready. Like, these guys are ready to, So, now that we're all excited, we get to one of our favorite tag teams. Who's one of our favorite tag teams on this show, Bach?
Too Cold Scorpio and Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
Yup. Once again, one of our favorites. Like, we've been a huge fan of this team so far since we've been covering the show since the very beginning. And they're going up against, once again, thank you for the lower third, TJ Maverick and Todd Zane, because all I heard from Gary Michael Capetta was Todd Zane.
Yeah, they don't even say who is who throughout this match.
Yeah, I think Todd Zane was the smaller gentleman.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was the one that got pinned. But anyways, and what I like is they're both quick, like as in like Scorpio and Bagwell. They're both quick, but they're both quick in different ways.
Right.
Like you have Too Cold, who's the quick, speedy high flyer, who's doing like the moonsaults and 450s and shit we didn't really see in 93.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the Bagwell, who's the quick, speedy, but he's more of a technical wrestler.
Right.
And it's nice when you have that dichotomy where they're both fast, but in different ways.
Right. They do different things. It keeps their matches fresh.
Yes, but they're both fast, but in different directions.
Right.
And I just, speaking of this, I was there, Bagwell, there was a short moment where Bagwell was in trouble, and here comes Scorpio with this flying sidekick that's about ready to just knock the nose off the dude's face.
Yow.
I was like, oh, Scorpio was quick with them feet.
Oh, yeah.
But, it breaks down real quick, and Bagwell hits his fisherman suplex finisher for the win.
Yep, just a minute 34, but a very good enhancement match.
Yeah, very good minute 34. Once again, this was actually kind of dense as well.
Yeah.
They got a lot of stuff in, but it didn't look like they just threw it in real quick. Like this was, for a minute and a half, roughly a minute and a half, this was actually really well paced.
Definitely.
We get to our main event. Paul Roma of the Four Horsemen versus Stunning Steve Austin. I like this match.
Steve put on a clinic throughout this match.
You know what? I'll give credit where credit is due. He may be one of the weakest or least remembered Four Horsemen. Paul Roma did good on this one.
Yeah, absolutely he did.
Damn impressive top rope dropkick. That thing was gorgeous from Paul Roma.
Yeah, he headbutted Steve off leading into that. That was nasty.
And what I liked is this was not a hold for hold, move for move. You had the... we got Paul Roma and Arn Anderson versus the Blondes for the tag titles at Beach Blast. They've already fought before. They had that amazing match last week. That 6-man tag that went like 20-some-odd minutes. That was amazing.
Yeah.
You got the Four Horsemen against the Blondes. And I like they told the story is like, there's so much animosity. We're going to brawl. This was a fist fight for the majority of the match.
Yeah.
There was no trading holds or chain wrestling or... suplexes like that. Nothing really like that. This was just a fight.
Yes, that was the word. That was my word too. A fight.
Straight up fight. There's not a lot to say that happened in this match, but it was good because they almost got counted out a couple times just fighting. And here's the weird part. This is the one that caught me off guard. Somehow we're still doing that even though Bill Watts is gone, right? He left right around the time of our show started.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first episodes. We have that dumb, you get disqualified if you throw the guy over the top rope, but yet it doesn't get... Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and then sometimes it does. Like, it was a very weird rule.
The refs keep conveniently missing it.
At the right, yeah. Some matches they see it, some matches they don't. But what I found weird is they're fighting by the ring barrier, the guard.
The security rail.
Thank you, the security railing. And Paul Roma almost gets thrown over, and then according to Tony, if he would have gone over, that was a disqualification too.
Never heard that.
No! Neither have I. But I'm like, wait, you can throw the guy over the ringside security barrier and that's a disqualification? How?
Huh.
Tell me how, like the Backstreet Boys, tell me why? It made that made even less sense.
Yeah, that made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but so we get to the end where Austin misses like a second rope forearm and Paul Roma gets a small package for the win, and I would consider this a small upset.
I would too. The match took 4 minutes 56.
Yeah, great match.
Very good match.
This is sometimes you need your technicals, you need your brawls, you need your fist fights. This made sense for a fist fight because there was bad blood between both groups.
It's building the story.
Yes. Speaking of which, after the match is over, Pillman comes in and the Blondes are double teaming Roma, and then out comes Arn to probably the biggest pop of the entire show.
That was loud.
Holy shit. And Arn comes in and freaking cleans house. The good guys are standing tall at the end of the show.
Yep. That's where we end.
Yeah. Once again, I would give this a solid B2. Quality, like the enhancement matches were quick as well, but they weren't too quick, if that makes sense.
They were of a good length.
Even like that 28 seconds?
Yeah, for Max Payne versus what's-his-face.
I'm used to it. Max Payne's matches are always like, a minute and a half, but you've also seen him when he does wrestle longer matches, he can go.
Right.
So, okay, it's a 28-second match, but it worked.
Yes, it worked.
So, yeah, once again, this was actually solid quality shows from both.
Yeah, I would say Raw and Saturday Night were about even this week.
Uh-huh. This is what pushed for WCW. Honestly, the main event was my favorite match.
Agreed.
Fantastic storytelling. And then honestly, I think that might be my match of the show overall.
I'm not sure. I think I would give that to Blake Beverly versus the 1-2-3 Kid.
Which was going to be my match of Raw myself, so.
We were actually in agreement. How about that?
We have the same favorite matches, but our overall favorite match of the show is the opposite one.
Right. So,
but yeah, we both had this, once again, but there was good storytelling, minus Lost in Cleveland. Once again, we're a week out from Beach Blast, so how that's going to work for us is that we're going to be doing Raw and Saturday Night for the next week, which is going to be July 12th for Raw and July 17th for Saturday Night. And then the week after that, so in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing Beach Blast 93, which, for those that aren't familiar, when we do pay-per-views because they're much longer. The matches, matter of fact, we're specifically going to have a half-hour match.
Oh, right, because the Iron Man match.
Matter of fact, I can tell you. Let me look this up. We're talking about. So yeah, Beach Blast is going to get its own episode. Like, you know, that way there's a lot more with the matches. There's a lot more matches. A lot of stuff going on.
Right.
I can tell you that. By the way, this is the last Beach Blast too.
Oh.
Starting in '94, we're going to get bashed at the beach basically until the end of WCW.
Okay.
So we're going to have a 30-minute match, and then before that is another 26-minute match.
Oh, gosh.
So right there's roughly, those two matches right there's an hour.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
There's only 2 matches that are under 10 minutes.
Wow.
By the way, there is one match they haven't, I don't know, if they don't announce it next week, remind me and I'll say something, but there is one match, I'm looking at the card right now, that they did not announce.
Okay.
But it's trivial for the most part, so it's not gonna change everything. But yeah, basically, these are some longer matches. Like I said, only 2 out of everything else is at least 11 minutes.
Wow.
We have, 2 matches under that, but everything else is 11 minutes or more, including, 2 matches combined is an hour.
Right.
But once again, I haven't watched this in a long time. I don't watch because like I said, Western with Regret did a review on this already. I'll watch his stuff, but I mean, as in watching the whole pay-per-view as a whole, I haven't watched it, and I won't until we start doing the show.
Right.
They kind of somewhat I already know who wins. Once again, this was like 30 years ago. I know who wins all this stuff, but
I haven't spoiled myself, and this was before my time, so I do not know who wins.
Yeah. Yeah, so once again, thank you, everybody. Once again, ridiculous numbers for everybody that's watching, so I very much appreciate it. Let's put it this way. I had a personal goal, because like I said, I work with some people, we kind of almost like a think tank to help work us with our podcasting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had a goal for total views for the year. Between the first 3 episodes just on YouTube, we're almost 5% of the goal.
Wow. I didn't realize we were doing that good.
In 3 episodes.
So response has been great.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to use a word that I don't use very much. I'm flummoxed.
Oh, I love that word.
It's a great word. It's a fun word to say, too. It almost reminds me of Elf. That's a fun word to say. Francisco. Once again, one of the only Christmas movies I watch. I won't go into it. I can quote that whole movie. One of the only Christmas movies I go out of my way to watch every year.
I assume Die Hard's one of them, too?
Well, I have a theory. We discussed it in the past, but I don't get into it, but Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I have a method to prove that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Right.
That's how I can prove that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but Lethal Weapon is not, and they both take place during Christmas.
We have talked about it.
Yeah, I forget which episode, but I do explain it in one of our prior episodes. But actually, it's Elf and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation are really the only Christmas I'm not a Christmas guy. I'm really not. But the only 2 movies that I'll watch Die Hard year round. Die Hard, it's year round movie.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a fantastic. Fun fact: Frank Sinatra was offered the role.
Which role?
John McClane.
Really?
Okay, slight tangent. This is going to be a real quick one.
Okay.
Die Hard was based on a novel.
Did not know.
Yeah. Well, the character that becomes John McClane or whoever, whatever, Frank Sinatra had done a movie, I think, I want to say in the 60s. And I forget the name of it. Matter of fact, see if I can pull it up on a wiki real quick. But basically, it was an action movie. It was like a 60s action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if it's in the wiki. Yeah, okay, here it is. There was a movie called The Detective.
Okay.
Starring Frank Sinatra. That came out it was a long time ago.
Right.
According to Frank Sinatra's contract, when he did this, when Die Hard was based, the novel sequel to this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Die Hard is, once again, the sequel to this movie. Because of the way Frank Sinatra's contract was.
Right.
The studio was contractually obligated to offer him the role.
Really?
Of John McClane in Die Hard.
Interesting.
Sinatra was declined because at the time he was 70.
Right.
But it's the fact that it was just in his contract that's look, if you make another movie with this character, you have to offer me the role.
Right.
So we're like, okay, Mr. Sinatra, would you like to do Die Hard? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And here's the thing. Bruce Willis was not a bankable action star yet. The biggest thing he had done at the time was moonlighting.
Wait, this was the movie that made him, wasn't it?
That made him, no, like, he had already been, but this made him an action star.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Like, this was like, who, like, it's like the Michael Keaton thing. Michael Keaton used to be was known as a comedic actor. He had done, like, Mr. Mom, Batman. They're like, why the hell are they going to give somebody like Michael Keaton Batman? And then Batman 89 came out.
Right.
So let me just give you, I'm looking at the list right now because I'm on the wiki page. The people that was offered John McClane before Bruce Willis. You ready?
I'm ready.
We've already discussed Frank Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
Sylvester Stallone.
That would have been good.
Richard Gere.
Don't really know him.
He had Pretty Woman. He had done a bunch of other stuff. I couldn't see him in a John McClane movie.
Mm-hmm.
Clint Eastwood.
Ooh, that would have been good too.
Harrison Ford.
Also would have been good.
Burt Reynolds.
Again, also would have been good.
Nick Nolte, who had done 48 Hours, so I could have kind of seen like a Nick Nolte in a John McClane style thing, because, you know, John McClane was basically like the every cop.
Yeah, not really familiar with Nick Nolte.
48 Hours is 48 Hours, another 48 Hours. It's like, they're like the buddy cop movies he did with Eddie Murphy. They're fantastic.
Gotcha.
He's a good actor. Mm-hmm. He also did Cape Fear with Robert De Niro.
Gotcha.
Nick Nolte's good. Mel Gibson. We know Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
Don Johnson, who everybody knows was Crockett in Miami Vice at the time.
Wasn't he also Nash Bridges?
He was Nash Bridges, which was a very underrated cop show.
Grandma Angie used to love that show.
Oh, it's a great show. But yeah, he was doing Miami Vice at the time, or had just wrapped it up.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, once again, I should not have, let's put it this way, should not have been watching that as a child. That was a TV procedural about narcotics detectives.
Right.
He lived on a houseboat with an alligator. I should not have been watching that as young as I was, but it's a great show. Richard Dean Anderson, who most people know as either MacGyver, or he was the lead character in Stargate, the TV show.
Stargate SG-1 was the TV show.
Thank you, SG-1. I forgot the suffix, but I knew him as MacGyver. I grew up watching MacGyver as a kid.
Gotcha.
Paul Newman, you know, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Mm-hmm.
James Caan, who I honestly could have kind of seen this, and fucking Al Pacino.
Oh, really?
We're all offered this before it got to Bruce Willis.
Did all of them turn it down, or were there money issues, or what?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the list. And honestly, Bruce Willis actually originally turned this down.
Really?
Because he was doing Moonlighting at the time, which was a TV show him and Silver Shepherd had done. It was one of those comedy drama type, I think they were like Private Eyes or something. I never watched it, but it was very popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he contractually obligated to the show. He turned it down, but then Silver Shepherd got pregnant, so they had stopped production, you know, for like the birth and everything.
Right.
So he's like, all right, cool, I'll take it.
Gotcha. And
now we have one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. By the way, Alan Rickman was in it too.
Oh yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah, fun fact. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I also love Die Hard. The funny thing is, we've also, I think even you've seen Die Hard.
It's been a long time, but I have seen it.
Okay, so you see, you know, the end where Hans Gruber's hanging off the side of the building, and then when he lets go, you get that big wide-eyed oh shit.
Yeah.
Do you know how they got him to do that?
How did they do that?
So Alan Rickman, by the way, I think Alan Rickman had done like Broadway and like plays and Shakespeare. This was his first movie.
Oh, really? Did not know that.
He was a stage actor before this. But so he's hanging there. They got him on the wires, and they're like, "Hey, on the count of 3, we're gonna let you go. 1, 2, let him go."
Oh my God.
That was real, like, oh shit, I'm about to piss myself, scared face. That was real scared face, because they're like, 1, 2, boop.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was real. That was a real oh shit face. Once again, another guy I love, Alan Rickman.
I know him best as Metatron from Dogma and Professor Snape.
Yeah, by the way, my favorite Kevin Smith movie, which I don't mean to brag, but I own a very extremely hard to find Blu-ray that is out of print. Thanks, Harvey Weinstein, you asshole. It also doesn't stream anywhere because I think he owns all the rights to it. I won't say how much I paid for it used, but let's just say it is the most I've ever spent on one individual movie.
We've talked about that before, I think.
I've paid for box sets that were cheaper than Dogma.
Oh, wow.
We'll put it that way. But anyways, awesome. I haven't done a good tangent like that in a while. We're talking about Die Hard.
Oh, yeah.
And the first 3 are great. The 4th one was kind of shitty. And they actually did a 5th one, and I kind of don't want to watch it.
I have not seen the 5th one either. I have seen the 4th one. It was just okay. But it was PG-13, which means no iconic line.
Yeah. Just like, did you know there was they tried to do it to Expendables 4, and I'm like, oh no. I tuned out after the Expendables 3 was PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
The first two, rated R. Why the fuck are you going to make Expendables 3 PG-13?
Like, what kind of sense does that make?
Yeah. You can't make a movie like the first two are awesome. It's basically like, here's every action star from the 80s and 90s, and we're going to do the Avengers, but with guns. Because it's all like all these, Bruce Willis, like the first one had Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren and Jet Li and Terry Crews and Randy Couture was in it. Stone Cold was one of the bad guys. Eric Roberts was in it, who's been in, like, we talked about, like 700 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically here, every action star ever in an action movie.
Right, and it works.
It was violent as shit, because especially, this is where I love my love for it. Terry Crews' character, whose name was Hail Caesar, by the way, fully automatic shotgun with a drum.
Yo!
Where he's just like, foom, 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 and you just saw chunks of people even.
Ouch.
And the second one was even greater because you had Bruce Willis. You had fucking Chuck Norris was in the second one.
Wow.
Van Damme was the bad guy.
I like Van Damme. I honestly think he's underrated.
Oh, I do. I'm a big fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. But no, he was the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then the third one was like, I get they were doing the third one. They added a lot of, like, younger people. It's like, hey, new blood type thing. Cool, great, awesome. I'm down. PG-13.
You can't do that for a movie franchise like that.
No. And guess what? They did an R-rated cut. But I saw the PG-13 because that was the official release one.
Mm-hmm.
You ever tried to do a PG-13 action movie where the first two were rated R?
No, I have not.
Guess what didn't happen?
Anything.
Exactly. And then there was a fourth one, but I was just like, I read the synopsis and I'm like, oh no. Like, I guess they did do, like, rated R as far as I know. But I was like, oh no. Oh, this is gonna, I kind of want to watch it just like a car wreck.
Right.
Like, I just want to see how bad this is, because the first two are fantastic.
Have you seen the R-rated cut of the third one? Okay.
You actually got a fight of Randy Couture versus Stone Cold in the fucking first one.
Hard to top that.
Randy Couture versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I think they're in a ring of fire.
Oh, gosh.
You had Jet Li doing what Jet Li does in action movies. You had fucking Ivan Drago.
And then you try to make the third one PG-13 and just ruin it? Why?
Yeah, and you added Ronda Rousey and Taylor Lautner. Yeah. Anyways, tangents aside, guys, I could talk about movies all day, and if everything goes according to plan by this time in the spring, I will be. So, Bach, where can we find the show?
The show can be found at capital D and capital A Podcast One on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. We're on YouTube and Rumble for video sites, and pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast, you can get us.
Basically, the ones that haven't shut down yet, we're there.
Yeah.
I think the ones that are left, I think because Google shut down their podcasting thing too. I know for a fact we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and a couple other ones. Because Stitcher's no more. I think, did Apple shut theirs down? Their podcasting, I think? I don't think they did. I know Google is.
Amazon's got a podcasting segment, I think.
I think we're on that one. We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. So if you guys listen to the podcast on those websites, please, we need the traffic on the podcasting sites. So 5 stars, dots, up fingies, whatever.
And if you're watching on YouTube and Rumble, like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. We're sorry for the plug, but it does work. Studies have proven it.
I'm not sorry for the plug. I'm plugging. This is my show. I'm plugging the shit out of it. I don't apologize for plugging my show. I'm sorry, our show.
Yeah, our show. The plugs work. They do.
The more people that will listen to it and the more people that upfinger it, the more people that actually get a chance to see it that haven't seen it yet.
Right. The algorithm is a mystery, but engagement drives it. We do know that.
Yeah. Evolution is not only a mystery, so is the algorithm. That was a Triple H joke.
Love it.
Yep. Even you got that one, and I appreciate that. Where can we find you?
I am at BigBoct, BIGBOCT on most socials. If you ever see me on Twitch, I'm probably doing commentary over randomizer races for the Speed Gaming Collective of channels.
Okay. And I am on TikTok. I am on Twitter /X. I am on Twitch, where I'm not going to be doing as much Diablo stuff. I'm going to be doing full-on call leagues, where it's multiple different shows. Like, I'm thinking about doing, instead of like Raws and SmackDowns, I'm going to do a show where it's all horror movie characters. I kind of want to do one where it's all like animated characters.
Is this that WWE 2K Universe Mode commentary you said you've been doing?
Yeah, I haven't done it in a while, but I got convinced to do it again and go full time on the streaming with that.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly kind of want to do one, and I think I could pull it off somehow. I want to do a show like, instead of like a Raw or an NXT, where it's all the characters from The Office.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Everybody from Scranton. That's the funny thing. Everybody's from Scranton. Yeah, so once again, thank you everybody much for listening to Dropkicks and Attractions, and we will be back next week.
Take care, everybody.